Thinking of taking a river cruise, but are worried about some of the myths you've heard about river cruising? Hold on and let's talk about that. Hey, this is Jack with Luxury Cruise Tips. First of all, I love river cruising, so I'm biased. I really like it, but let me go over some of the myths that you may have heard and read about river cruising. Myth 1, it's only for old people, okay? I did my first river cruise about 12 years ago. I was in my 40s at the time, and I would agree at that time, 12, 15 years ago, we were the youngest one on the ship. I just did a river cruise less than a month ago. Maybe I'm an old guy now, but I can tell you it's not just for old people. As an example, about 6 months ago, we took my kids in their 20s and 30s and my father, who's 89. We had the youngest people on the ship and the oldest person on the ship. Said to my kids, we're going on a river cruise. They're very well traveled. After the cruise, what'd you think? They had a great time. Guess what? Going on another river cruise with them in April. So I do not think that river cruising is just for old people. You can get as much out of it with activity and things to do if you want, or you can just sit with a book and watch the beautiful scenery go by. Myth number 2, there's nothing to do on a river cruise. Go back to myth number 1. Totally disagree. You have a full day schedule on the ship. If you want to get off the ship, there's typically tours and excursions that are included. If you want to stay on the ship, you can just do whatever you want. Some of the ships have cooking classes or port lectures, but I would say the primary reason to do a river cruise is for the included excursions and tours. Most of the ships, the Amas, the Avalons, even Viking, the Uniworld, Talks, Scenics, Emerald, will have 1 to 5 included excursions in each port. Some days it's quite the opposite in that you get up 8 o'clock, go on an excursion, come back, have lunch, do a beer tasting or something on the ship. Ship moves, do another excursion in the next port. So I would say myth 2, that there's nothing to do, is 100% incorrect. Myth 3, there's too many people. No, not correct. Again, if you look at your average river cruise ship, you'll have any place between 100 people to 200 people. I think the Viking longships will have the largest number, which is about 198 people. If you're looking at Ama, Avalon, or Uniworld, it's typically between 140 to 170 people. They do not feel crowded. There's space. There's plenty of space up on the roof. This is not like a big Carnival or Royal Caribbean ship with 6,000 people. Every place you go, you're bumping into people. They have done a great job designing the ships in the size parameters they have to work in, that there's great space for everybody. Myth number 4, you only go on a river cruise in warm weather. Totally incorrect. One of my favorite things to do on a river cruise is Christmas markets. The Christmas markets will typically run from mid-November to mid-December. Cold weather. Some of the cruise lines now are going to cruise all year round on certain rivers. I've done March for the flower market cruises in Amsterdam and Belgium. We've done summertime. I've done late fall in Bordeaux. So again, I think yes, the primary season for river cruises would be March until November or December, but you don't just have to go in the summertime. During warm weather, some of the ships will have pools. The Ama ships have pools. The Avalon ships will have hot tubs. Some of the other ships on the Douro will have pools. So again, during the summertime, delightful. A lot of things to do on the rooftop. But again, during the cooler times, I think are some of my favorite times, watching the leaves, going into the Christmas markets. When you come back on the ship, they'll serve you mulled wine, hot chocolate, hot apple cider. I just think they do a great job of taking the river cruise and extending the season of what was, in the old days, a summer vacation. I would say the majority of ships are not sailing from mid-December through late February, early March, but most of them will start up in March, April, depending upon the rivers. Another myth is that all cruise lines are the same. Not correct. If you're on the river, it may look like the ships are the same because, again, dependent upon the river, there's limitations of how long the ships can be and how wide they can be and how high they can be. So from the outside, some ships may have balconies, some may have French balconies. Some may have pools, some may have shuffleboard on the top deck and canopies, but it's when you get on the inside, the ships differ a little bit. Again, it's usually a center hallway with cabins on either side, no inside cabins or staterooms, but you will have different locations for your restaurant, your lounges, your bars, maybe a little gym. So the ships also may have less staterooms, so you're going to have less people in larger lounges and larger staterooms. But yes, the ships will look the same, they're set up relatively the same, but the decor on many of the ships are different. As an example, when you look at the Viking ships, you go on one Viking ship, you're on all of them. The inside decor, the interior decor is almost exactly the same with the clean lines of the Scandinavian decor. Now you look at, say, a Uniworld ship, oh my, dependent upon where you are, the interior design is so vastly different. You're in France, it looks like a boutique hotel in France, and you may be on the Rhine or the Danube, and it may have a different vibe or feeling to it. So no two of their ships are the same, whereas all the Vikings are the same. And again, if you look at the Alma and Avalon, they're fairly similar. Maybe the colors will be different, but if you've been on one and it's the same series of ship, you'll feel like you've been on the same, other than if you're thinking about the Alma Magna, which is a double wide, which definitely is different. I think the last myth that I want to bust here is that river cruising is too expensive. I don't think that's correct. I think if you look at the cost that if you stayed in boutique hotels in these areas and you had to buy 3 meals a day and you had to rent a car and drive around and buy petrol gas by the liter, if you had to then pay for parking at some of these boutique hotels, which could be 50 euros a day, you had to buy your tours or admissions, at the end of the day, river cruising to me is a great value for what you're getting. Remember, some of them, like Uniworld, all-inclusive, open bar, all your meals, all your tours and excursions, gratuities, everything's included. Look at other ones, so there may be some extras, such as, say, an Alma Waterways, where wine and beer are included with lunch and dinner, and they have a happy hour. But I think overall, when you look at the price per person of a river cruise for the experience you get, there is great value. And there are river cruises for all different budgets. Most of them that we look at are going to be the 4.5 to 5 star higher end. So yes, they are a little bit more expensive than some of the others you may see on the various rivers. But I think if you compare comparable quality hotels, dining, and service, then river cruising is a great value. So hopefully I've been able to take the myths that you've had about river cruising and convince you that river cruising is a great vacation, and many of these myths are just incorrect. Feel free to subscribe to my channel. I do post 2 new videos a week about luxury cruising. Thanks for watching.